He says he's looking for a soulmate, but he's more likely to have a cellmate.
Yeah, a con artist who's been in and out of prison for the past 18 years is now accused of preying on local women through dating websites and social clubs. Fox 6 investigator Brian Polson is here to expose this rip-off Romeo before he cons you.
Yeah, Ann and Brad, his name is Tim. He's 6'2", loves to cook, and works out 3 days a week. He's also a habitual criminal accused of stealing thousands of dollars from his girlfriends. It's all part of an elaborate dating scheme, and now his victims are asking why police didn't do more to stop him.
Morgan, come.
Don't tell Jill Moore that men are dogs.
Sit.
She might just think it's an insult
Come on, Morgan.
to Morgan, her chocolate lab.
Good girl.
After all, dog is far too nice of a word to describe the man she fell in love with last fall.
If you look up sociopath, that's what he is.
Jill met Tim through an online dating site where he described himself as a business owner and a fitness buff with a degree in culinary arts. It didn't hurt that he was 6'2".
He likes to go to movies. He likes to cook at home. He doesn't like the bar scene. Well, that's everything that any woman would be looking for.
Tim swept Jill off her feet, and 6 weeks later, she gave him a key to her apartment.
I called all my girlfriends. Oh my gosh, this guy is the one.
Looking back now, she admits there were red flags. For instance, she says Tim claimed to own a cleaning company, but rarely left the house.
He made phone calls, like on a Friday, he'd be like, "Oh, Russell, I don't really feel like cleaning today. You know, I'm not coming into work. I'll pay whatever, whoever, you know, I don't remember the name of the person. I'll pay him an extra $100 just because I want to be with my girl tonight." And then you're sitting there feeling like, oh, he would rather hang out with me than go to work.
Her dream came crashing down shortly after she crashed her car. Tim convinced Jill to hand over a $3,100 insurance check and sell her diamond earrings so he could buy her a new car. Just before Christmas, she gave him all the money she had, more than $6,800. It was the last time she ever saw him.
Came back on Friday and every single thing of his that was at my apartment was gone.
At first, Jill was in denial. She thought she'd been so careful.
He told me his name was Tim Jensen. So of course, after we met that night and went home and Googled Tim Jensen, and Tim Jensen worked out just fine.
After he left, she discovered that Tim Jensen was really Timothy L. Olson, and she wasn't his first victim.
You know, I think I was caught up in the romance of it.
Heather met Tim last summer at a social event for singles, and before long he was talking about their future.
You know, it was just nice to have someone to dream with and someone who felt that way about me.
His tune changed after she loaned him $2,300.
He started acting very distant, like, don't bother me, don't harass me, and don't text me, I'll mail it to you.
He never did.
To find out it was all a lie, it just really hurts.
Like Jill, Heather dated Tim for a couple of months before he asked for any money. And like Jill, she noticed something unusual about him.
He didn't spend very much time doing the business that he talked about at first. I never heard him going to work or dealing with clients or having to do any of that business.
Both women say that Tim preferred to sit away from others at movies or just stay home.
Always drove the speed limit too, and I questioned that. I said, why do you always drive exactly the speed limit?
Perhaps that's because Timothy Luther Olson is a wanted man.
Look at all the felonies.
Olson has warrants in Wisconsin for skipping out on his parole. In fact, he's been in and out of prison since 1994, convicted of theft, forgery, possession of cocaine, and escape from criminal arrest. And in 2006, he stole more than $22,000 from another woman he met on Match.com.
Now I realize what he does is con women.
But Heather and Jill both had trouble getting police to treat what happened to them as a crime. Heather sent a 2-page complaint letter to a Kenosha detective, but she never heard back. He didn't call FOX6 back either. Jill has had plenty of contact with Franklin police, but says they told her it was a civil matter. The Franklin police chief tells FOX6 that's because Jill and Tim were involved in a relationship.
It was basically like, you screwed up. You gave him the money, so now it's your fault, which I know I gave him the money, but I gave him the money, again, with the intent of getting a vehicle. I didn't give him the money to just take off and never see me again.
For Jill, the worst wasn't over yet. Soon after Tim left, he started harassing her with videos he'd secretly recorded. He sent sexual videos of the two of them directly to Jill, and other videos to her boss in which she was venting about coworkers. The stress was so overwhelming that at one point Jill started texting her friends to say goodbye. All the while, Timothy Olson was still out there trolling for women online.
I told myself he may have completely wrecked my life, but I will not let him wreck somebody else's.
But as Jill was trying to get police to stop Olson, he'd already found a new victim in suburban Chicago.
He was a very charming man.
Another woman named Heather who bought his stories hook, line, and sinker.
It was very, very believable and elaborate.
The day I found out about her, I wanted to vomit.
This time it wasn't just money Olson is accused of taking, but $3,000 worth of medication.
I went to the refrigerator, I looked in the spot where it was, and my heart sank down to my toes, and I just got a lump in my stomach, and I knew right at that second that he had taken it.
Heather says Olson stole at least 4 vials of human growth hormone she needs for ongoing treatment from a car accident. Without it, she suffers severe muscle spasms. Desperate to get it back, she sent Tim a message pleading for mercy.
And I said, please leave me 2 vials. I said, I beg you.
Olson showed no mercy, but this time neither did police. Detectives in Batavia, Illinois traced his cell phone location and arrested him. Now he's in custody facing charges of theft.
That's what he deserves. That's where he needs to be, in jail.
But if history is a guide, this rip-off Romeo may not be locked up for long. Over the years, Timothy Olson has been given lenient sentences and early release from prison because of his willingness to rat out his cellmates. Sheriffs have commended him for putting his life in danger. Prosecutors have thanked him for his bravery, and judges have offered him their deep respect. One judge actually called him out for playing both sides of the fence, then gave him probation anyway. And each time he gets out, he ends up committing another crime. Olson is currently in the Kane County Jail in Illinois, facing theft charges.
So police in Illinois are treating this as a crime. Any
Yeah.
chance police here in Wisconsin will step up and treat this as a crime?
Well, yes and no. Franklin police have actually opened a criminal investigation on behalf of Jill Moore. And just this morning, she met with an assistant Milwaukee DA. But when Jill came out of that meeting, she told me it was her impression that the chances of them actually filing criminal charges are slim to none. And Franklin Police Chief Rick Oliva tells me that's probably a fair assessment. He says there's zero question here that Jill was victimized. The question in his mind is whether it was civil or criminal.
See, I don't get that part, because if you're in a relationship with someone and I don't know, you hit them or something, it's criminal. I mean, being in a relationship doesn't give you a free pass to rip someone off.
Well, as I said, the police chief says that the question becomes really, when was money, when did the money change hands? What was the intent?
Yeah.
The pattern of events here certainly plays a factor in whether or not this was criminal. But again, no charges yet here, at least in Milwaukee County.
If anything, hopefully your story put him out of business.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Brian.
All right.
Well, Briggs and Stratton laying off hundreds. We got details coming.